Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to Daily Reflections with Chris, and I'm Chris. I guess at some point I'll stop stating the obvious, but for now, you never know. There could be somebody brand new who's never seen this channel, who's never seen me before. My name's Chris, and we talk recovery in this particular YouTube channel. And to help me stay on topic or focus on one particular idea instead of everything that I know about AA, just kind of focus on just the topic for today. I use this book. It's called Daily Reflections. And this book is written by people in recovery for people in recovery. So we'll get started. Today is March 18th, and today's title is called Real Independence. The more we become willing to depend upon a higher power, the more independent we actually are. And that's from the 12 and 12, page 36. I start with a little willingness to trust God, and He causes that willingness to grow. The more willingness I have, the more trust I gain. And the more trust I gain, the more willingness I have. My dependence on God grows as my trust in Him grows. Before I became willing, I depended on myself for all my needs, and I was restricted by my incompleteness. Wow. Through my willingness to depend upon a higher power, whom I choose to call God, all my needs are provided for by someone who knows me better than I know myself. Even the needs I may not realize, as well as the ones yet to come. Only someone who knows me that well could bring me to be myself and to help me feel the need in someone else that only I am meant to feel. I gotta read that again. It's really good. It says, only someone who knows me that well could bring me to be myself and to help me feel the need in someone else that only I am meant to feel. Wow. There never will be another exact like me, and that is real independence. Man, Jesus. This topic was on fire. The reading itself, when I came in here and I read the topic, real independence, I was like, oh man, I can talk about that, talk about the light switch, how we flip a light switch and we trust that the light is gonna turn on, right? And we just go about doing whatever we're gonna do, cook or read or make a video, not having to worry we're gonna have light or not. We just don't worry about it no more, right? That's like trust and true independence. I am now truly independent to go about my day, walk around the room and do what I need to do and look for what I need to look for, my glasses or my wallet or whatever, because there's light. And I don't look at the light switch and I think, man, God, I hope it turns on today. Well, let me go back. Sometimes I do, right? When I didn't used to pay my light bill, or when I get late or whatever, sometimes I'm like, ew, man, I hope I still have electricity. Or it maybe the weather conditions are like, stormy and half the neighborhood doesn't have power. Of course, I don't know if I'm gonna have light when I get home. But for even that is like the last thing on my mind. For everything else, I just totally trust that as soon as I turn on that light switch, there's gonna be light in the whole entire house. Everything that needs to happen is happening. Electricity stuff that I just barely understand this much, and everything else is like, I don't worry about it. I don't even try to fix it or figure it out. Well, that little example is one they use a lot in recovery, and it's like, okay, well, when you trust God or higher power of your understanding, when you trust that spirit of the universe, and actually this book right now that I'm reading it, man, it's so in recovery in the big book of AA, it's like the other big book, right? The Bible. Everything that that has to do with God or Father is either like in red or it's capitalized, right? So the big book is a lot like that. Anything that has to do when you're speaking of God or God as we understand him, is capitalized. Spirit of the universe is capitalized. The great idea is capitalized. God is capitalized. Well, now I just realized that in this book, they capitalize someone who twice. It says, and it's going to call it 3 different things in this one sentence. It says, through my willingness to depend upon my higher power, capitalized, that's talking about God, whom I choose to call God, capitalized, all my needs are met, provided for by someone who, capitalized, knows me better than myself. Even the needs I may not realize, as well as the ones yet to come. My God, that's like a powerful statement, right? So, where was I going? Okay, I was talking about the independence. So if I put my dependence on this higher power, right, that I'm starting to learn, I'm starting to trust him through the steps, then I don't really have to worry. I mean, I could worry, but I don't have to worry. I could just could just trust that he's working everything out for the better, for the best of me, for all that I need. And it says right here, for everything I need right now and for everything I'm going to need tomorrow, from the AM to the PM. You know, he thinks well in advance more than I do. I mean, I could think well in advance too, but my brain can't handle me going too far in advance because it gets crazy. It just does. It worries too much right now. So if I trust that all my needs are met, the ones that I have right now and the ones that are yet to come, then man, I could just, when I'm having a good day, I just go about doing my day. I love to sing. I'm learning how to play guitar. I love to write. I'm working on some ideas to write a book. I'm writing on some ideas to make T-shirts. I'm working on some ideas to improve not to improve my group, but I have a service commitment in my group to do that. I have a workshop I gotta do in October, November, and I'm already brainstorming ideas for that, right? So I have a lot of this stuff going on in my head that I can actually start taking action, start doing when I'm not worried about what am I gonna eat tomorrow? How am I gonna pay my bills? I'm off, but I should really work, man, because what would that say about me if I took the day off? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to church. Man, but I don't know, I don't really, I start creating all this stuff in my head when I'm not trusting in God. One time, my friend of mine, she's a little hardcore, and I probably already have mentioned this to you this one particular time. And she said, I got to her house and I was happy, man. I was having a good day, and it was just like a turnaround trip. So she wasn't expecting me. I just showed up and I'm like, hey, and she was leaving actually, because she's working with her brother, so she's taking off, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, oh my God, Chris, I didn't know you were coming, man. I'm working. I said, don't worry about it. I just wanted to stop and say hi. She's like, why are you smiling? What's going on? I was like, God's will. And she's like, really, Chris? Is it really God's will? And I was like, yeah, why are you busting my bubble? What do you, yeah, I'm excited. I really believe that I'm living in God's will. And she's like, really? And I said, man, she says, go read step 2 in the 12 and 12 and then come back and tell me if you're really relying on God. And I was like, in my head, and she left, and in my head, I was like, why did I even stop by, man? Why did I even put myself in this predicament where my friend is just going to bust my bubble when I'm so happy and so excited? But I was like, you know what? Okay, I take that challenge, because now I'm in a different mood. Now I'm like, no. I'm going to prove to you that I'm in God's will. So then I go and I start reading the step 2 in the 12 and 12, and it talks about this reliance upon God and about trusting in Him, just like I don't even think twice about trusting the light switch. And she said, before she left, she goes, Chris, You could know about God and he could still not be in your life. That's all I'm saying. Just go read it. That's all. That's all that I'm saying. Go read I'm like, never mind. Right? So then I went to go read it. I wanted to prove her wrong. And that's for the first time that I learned that, yeah, I probably wasn't in his will at that moment. I'm not saying that I wasn't. I don't even know what she was trying to do. But I felt clear about what I was doing that day. There was nothing shady going on. I wasn't trying to like, you know, were things kind of going my way? Yeah, they were. Of course, it feels good when things are going your way, right? So then I went home and I remember just feeling like a deeper sense of understanding after reading that the more dependence I put on him, the more independence I really am. In other words, I had been talking about him, I had been sharing about him, but I hadn't really been trusting him completely. Right? I was still at some point thinking like, even though I was saying, yeah, God's will, I you know, part of me was still like, man, I got game. You just don't know what happened. You don't know where I'm coming from. And I didn't get to tell her all that, but I didn't need to. I guess she got a whisper that somebody needed to have me checked before I wreck myself. Right? And that she felt the necessity to tell me that. So I was like, so then I went to go read it, and I understood what she was saying. I understood what she was saying. And now reading this today and it being the same passage that I read that day. I mean, this is right out of the 12 and 12, page 36. And it says the more we become willing to depend upon higher power, the more independent I really am, because I'm not worried or trying to make things happen or trying to manipulate situations or trying to impress people or trying to, you know, I love dog shows, but I hate to be the dog in the show, man. When I feel like I'm in that position, man, I get so upset, because I have this problem when people say, well, you gotta prove to me, and I'm like, I ain't gotta prove shit to you, man. I'm not a pony. I'm not a dog. I'm not here just to perform, to prove stuff to you. But the truth was, what I learned these past few months, those of you who have been following me have kind of like, y'all seen everything. Y'all seen from the day it happened to the day after and the day after that, and how things just, all this stuff is making sense, and then it doesn't make sense, and now it's really making sense. And now I'm sharing, not because I'm still going through it, but I'm sharing because I've learned something from it. And what I learned, that made me upset when this other person said, well, you got to prove yourself. You got to prove it to me if this is what you want. And I was like, I ain't a pony. That was like my first thought. I didn't tell her that, of course not. But in my head, I thought, well, I'm not a pony. This ain't a dog show for me to just be doing dog tricks so you could know that this is what I want. But the truth was, this is the truth, folks. The truth was that I was already trying to prove myself. I was already trying to prove myself. I was already doing everything that I thought they wanted me to do, everything that I wanted to do, everything that they asked other people to do. I was doing it all, man. I was just like trying to outperform. I was trying to manipulate the situation so that when they see me, because even though I wasn't saying, look at me, I was trying to be like, look at me, so that they could pick me for the promotion. They could pick me for the spot. They could pick me as their number one. So they could pick me, so they could look at me and give me all the attaboys, all the praise and everything. Tell me how wonderful that I am. That I was already doing all that. I was already doing the dog and pony show. I was already doing that. So when that person says, you got to prove to me, I got upset. Because in that moment, I had nothing left to give. I had already given it all. I had nothing left to give. And through the process of reflection, inventory, getting honest, I realized that Chris, you're trying too hard, bro. Just be you, man. Just be Chris. Just show up as a hard worker. You ain't gotta do your job and their job and their job and their job and their job. Just do your job. And if you can help them, help them. You know what? Help them get better so you don't have to do their job. Help them improve. Show them what to do so that they could be, when they choose to, okay, because that's another topic, but for when they choose to, they could be better. And I was trying to force situations that cannot be forced. I cannot make people do their job. I cannot make people do it the way I think is faster. I cannot make people be better employees. I can not, even if I run circles around them, not even if I do their job and make comments, none of that's gonna work. As a matter of fact, I'm the one who's sitting in there in the office looking like I'm the one sitting there in the office getting talked down to. Why? Because Chris was already trying. Chris wasn't trusting in higher power. Chris wasn't trusting that in due time my higher power was going to promote me, whether anybody saw me or not. I wasn't trusting that. I was trusting in Chris's work. And I think it talks about that right here, actually. Let me see. Okay, before I became willing, okay, before all this happened, before I finally got the check, right? The God check, the heart check, the mind check, the emotion check, the physical check. You know, I mean, I'm like outperforming these people because my brain says that I have to, because my heart really wants this job. And even though my knees all messed up and I'm tired every day and all I want to do is sleep, I'm still doing it. Why? Because that's me trying to make things happen, right? So it says, so I wasn't willing then to trust in God. I was just still trusting on Chris. It says, so before that, before I became willing, I depended on myself right here for all my needs. I'm going to show them. They're going to see it and they're going to want me. And I was restricted by my incompleteness. I restricted myself with all my works that I was doing. I was still restricting myself because I was incomplete. Something was missing. Sometimes I'm talking about, I'm like, Chris, you need Jesus, boy. You need God in your life. But I can't go to a meeting and tell people that. I can only suggest that they rely on a higher power, right? And if they want, for them to take it. But I know that when I do, okay, I call him God. Okay, I call him Jesus Christ. Okay, I call him pretty much that. You know, Father, once in a while when I'm praying, I say Father, right? But you know, I've realized a long time ago, and I keep forgetting, and I keep getting reminded. I keep forgetting. I keep getting reminded. I keep forgetting. I keep reminding. I cannot do my life without him anymore, without my higher power. Him, her, she, it, whatever you want to call it, God, someone who, that's what I learned today. There's another thing you call him, someone who, the spirit of the universe, the great idea, the God idea, gift of desperation, good orderly direction, whatever you want to call it, right? I've learned today that I cannot do life without that power. There's no way. I learned a long time ago that my different, if you follow different, sorry, my dog's having a day. My baby girl, she's probably, that's her gossip. I call it her gossip bark, because she's trying to tell me that the other dog's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, like eating a sock, or there he is. He found a toy that squeaks and she wants it. She can't share toys. So anyway, back to the topic. So different spiritual mediums or avenues, they talk about the same thing in a lot of ways. And, you know, I learned that God, or my higher power, who I choose to call God, can do more with this pinky like that. All he has to do is go boom, and he could make it happen. He'll do it more. He can do more, and he has more power in his pinky than 100 of us put together have. On our own, left to our own resources, right? With what we have, he can do more with one pinky than we can. Another person I follow says that one person who is aligned can do more than 100 people who are not in line, who are misaligned, right? Well, she said, okay, I'm going to say how she says it. One person in the vortex could do more than 100 people who are not in the vortex, right? And then in recovery, we say, let the circle represent what we can do together that we cannot do alone, that we can't do alone. You could call yours the circle of recovery, that we can do more together than one person can do all by themselves. Which sounds opposite, but it's not. It's a power greater than myself. It's something out there that could help me. You know, I'm so grateful that at some point I had to make the decision. Nobody could make it for me. Nobody could make it for you to be willing or unwilling. Nobody can do that. You got to make the choice, just like I had to make the choice. And it had to come to the point where it was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. Because you know why? Because this employer said it, the employer before that said it, the employer before that said it, the employer before that said it. They'll say, you're great one day, and then the next day they'll be like, man, what? They will be confused. It doesn't feel good, folks. But it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to, not in my world, because that's not who I am, man. I know who I am. I showed up today knowing who I am. Chris is like a cool fucking dude. Like, my God, he's so smart. He's one of the nicest guys I know. He helps people when he can. Maybe not financially, but he got two feet, 2 legs. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. He has a connection with God that I don't see in very many people. He is loving and kind and smart, and he knows how to carry himself well in certain situations, you know, most situations, but he adjusts, and he's a good guy. But sometimes he just tries to do things by himself, and I'm talking to him like, I'm talking about him in the third person, because I see him. I see him, and I understand him. And folks, to me, be able to understand myself, to see myself, to know myself, to encourage myself, to help myself, it's big. It's big, because that, with God's help, is enough. If my boss never sees my worth, that's okay. If that girl doesn't ever think I'm marriage material, that's okay. I know who I am, and I know who God says I am. And that's enough. That's enough. Do I forget? Hell yeah. This last two These last 3 sentences are very different, and almost I feel like I've never read them before. It says, only someone who, capitalized, that means, like say, only God knows me so well to bring me to be myself. I'm reading it like I'm reading it about me. Only God, who knows me so well, who knows me that well, could bring me to be myself and help me feel the need in someone else that only I am meant to feel. Only He can help me make that connection. Only He can help, can make it happen to where I'm going to show up and be like, hey, I got you, I'll do that. When that person was probably stressed out about it, right? That means only I could have filled that position, nobody else. That's why He sent me. There never will be another exactly like me. That means I get to be myself today. He's totally fine with that. He's like, Chris, I need you just the way you are. The way that Chris you are right now, I'm going to need you. Even if you think you're ratchet, I'll use your ratchet. Let's go. And that is real independence. And that is real independence. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to raise my hand. If you say, this is what I need, I'm right here. I'm the man. Pick me. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That's real independence. That I still get to do what I want. And have all that I desire. Man, recovery is freaking awesome. It's so awesome. I came from a meeting right now. It's a different kind of meeting. You know, there's a lot of people there from all different groups, and we're all sharing, we're knocking off. Man, I had such a great time. We had a real big dinner. Man, it was amazing. It just really filled up my spirits. I laughed, I cried, I got honest. We talked deep stuff. We talked lighthearted stuff. Everybody shares differently. I mean, you're talking about like 20 or 30 people, and everybody gets to speak. Everybody gets to say something. And everybody gets to listen. It's so amazing. Recovery is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I don't know if you've ever experienced it or ever wanted to experience it. Maybe you're normal in every way or fashion, and you just happen to still be listening to this video for whatever reason, right? And you feel more normal than not, man. Thank God. I'm saying if you're normal, thank your higher power right now, because people like me need recovery. People like me need 12 steps. People like me need other people like me to help me get through life. Sometimes it feels like a chore. Sometimes it feels really, really good. It hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. It's been worth it, my God. Maybe you're out there and you do need recovery. Maybe you haven't found people like me. Let me encourage you. Just keep seeking out. You will find them. It may not be everybody you meet, but with every person you meet, you get closer to your tribe. I know that from experience. Man, I used to be so shy when I first got here. I wouldn't talk to nobody. And now, it's not as easy as I would like it to be, but now I go up to people and I shake their hands. Hey, my name is Chris. Nice to meet you. Hey, hey, hey. And before you know it, you know, your tribe gets attracted to you, and you just start hanging out. You realize you got a lot of things in common, and you have a lot of fun, and you want to do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next thing. And before you know, you have your people with you. And you know, I've always really wanted that, and I've never really known how to get it. And here in recovery, oh man, they just taught me how to do so much stuff. They just teach me every day how to not drink, how to not pick up, they can't teach me how to not screw up, because I screw up when they're not around. I screw up. There's no warning sign for a screw up. There might be a little warning sign, right? But sometimes it's like, I shouldn't have done that. And then all the consequences come. And some stuff I just know not to do anymore, right? But there's a lot of stuff I'm still learning, and I'm still screwing up, and I'm still thinking, man, I gotta ask for help, because I don't know how to make it right. Folks, I want to thank you for your time. I know it's late. It's definitely late where I am. But I felt just an eagerness, a positive eagerness to just hang out with you today and talk recovery and talk about the reflection for the day, which was, you know, they're all good. Some hit harder than others. This one, I think it could have been real serious, but it was a great reminder for myself. I hope it's a great reminder for you that it's okay to trust in a higher power. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be in recovery. It's okay to admit that, you know, you have a problem with, you know, alcohol or drugs or sex or love or eating, codependency. Maybe maybe you don't drink, but there's an alcoholic in your family. There's a program for you too. Maybe you want to go to therapy. Go, man. I encourage you, go. Maybe you just want to hang out at church extra days. Maybe get part of your life groups. There's tons of groups in church that'll help you. One particular church group that I did is called PTO, Peeling the Onion. And the book that they use is called Healing Choices. And the writer of the Healing Choices book went through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he thought, man, this would be great in the church. And instead of calling them 12 steps, he called them Healing Choices, and he narrowed it down to eight choices. And it's really cool because the whole group gets to work them together. It's a really neat experience, and it's church based. So you could, you know, maybe you don't want to be in, go to meetings. Maybe you want to go to your church. There's help too for you there. Therapy works, exercising, hanging out with a good, you know, maybe a support group. If there's support groups for grief, for maybe you're a teenager struggling. I mean, there's a ton of pick up a hobby. Maybe you want to play, you're old, you know, older, or maybe you're not in high school anymore, but you wanted to play. I'm telling you my story right here. I'm not in high school anymore, but I wanted to play an instrument in high school, and I was too afraid to ask what that instrument was called, but I really wanted to play it. And I was afraid to ask what the instrument was called, so I didn't. So I said, I don't know what I wanted to play, and then I played the xylophone, which was not my choice, but I was really good at playing xylophone, but that's not what I wanted. I really wanted to play the trumpet, but I didn't know what it was called, so I didn't play it. And man, oh God, I need to make amends to myself for that. But I am learning how to play guitar right now, so I'm not that great, I'm just barely. But it's pretty neat. I love talking about that too. I have a couple of buddies at work that play guitar, and we're always talking about it, and they're always talking about like how they can help me. So I'm grateful that I don't have to do life alone today, that I have the opportunity, the choice, the decision, the resources to do it different today, that I ain't gotta stay the same. I ain't gotta stay stuck. I ain't gotta keep doing what I'm doing. I ain't gotta beat my ego. I can't let, you know, I don't have to continue to let my ego take over, and my pride and all my defects. And I, you know, I'm not, ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing, you know. I do get like that because it's true. I'm so high on life. It's like, man, you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me recovery doesn't work. You can't tell me this God thing doesn't work. You just can't tell me that. But once in a while, I gotta let people tell me what to do, and be like, okay, yeah, show me. Yeah, I want to learn. because I don't know everything. Even when I think I do, I don't know everything. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that I'm learning. I'm so grateful that we're doing life together. I'm so grateful that you tuned in today. You know, like and share if you want. I would greatly appreciate that. Make comments, good or bad. I read them all. And thank you for the comments that I've been getting. It's been really wild these past few days. So thank you. I appreciate every comment that I receive. I'm listening to you and I'm hearing you and I'm receiving the good vibes. So thank you for your time, folks. I love you. And we'll see you soon.